live from Yesharun Hall in Netanya. It's a rematch of the 2017 gold medal game. The host country and the defending champions, Israel and the United States, ready to open 21st Maccabiah Open Women's Basketball play here in Netanya. Thank you so much for joining us alongside Elana Mutnick. My name is Alex Burstein. We'll be joined by the third member of our crew, Sam Ohstry, in just a couple of minutes. And Elana, we're a few days into the Maccabiah, but we finally get some open women's basketball action here this evening.
Yeah, really highly anticipated match. It's definitely going to be a good game. Maccabi USA, actually all their players on the team are either collegiately rostered or they have just graduated college, while the Israelis, on the other hand, are 17, 18 years old. So it's definitely going to be a different dynamic of what they're used to playing on. But besides that, it's going to be a great game, lots of talent on the court, and really excited to watch.
And some of that talent we are really looking forward to seeing is our 76 capital player to watch, Abby Myers. Elana, what more do you have to say about Myers?
Abby Myers is dynamic. She's talented. She's an amazing player. And being a fellow Terp myself, Abby's actually coming to the University of Maryland for her COVID year after transferring from Princeton. She is a phenomenal player, and head coach Sherry Levin, we spoke with her before, and she said she is the epitome of a dream player.
And Abby's actually going to be playing with one of her teammates from Princeton tonight, past teammates, I should say. That's going to be Maddie Plank. For more on that connection and some other connections inside this U.S. team, we're going to throw it down to the third member of our team, Sam Ohstry. Sam, how you doing?
Thanks, guys. Given this is the first game for the U.S., they're still in the experimental phase. But head coach Sherry Levin said she's implementing an all-guard lineup. She called them big guards, and she wants them to get out and transition and run. And the good news for the U.S. is a lot of these players have familiarity with each other coming into these games. Abby Myers and Maddie Plank played together at Princeton while they played against Tess Sussman at Harvard in the Ivy League. So they know each other's tendencies, what they like, what they don't like, and that's going to help them as they begin competition today. Back to you guys.
Thank you so much, Sam. And it's just about time for tip-off here from Netanya. We have the starting five on the court here for America, and we will have the starting five for the Israelis in just a couple of seconds. Elana, almost time for tip-off. What's some final thoughts before we get to gameplay here?
Final thoughts, just looking on the court, it's very clear that Maccabi USA has a height advantage over Israel, so that's definitely going to be interesting to watch. We're going to see how both teams work that into their play, and we'll see how it goes.
And we're going to see a lot of guards, as Sam said, on the court, but there is some height, as you mentioned, within this Maccabi USA team, headlined by Jacqueline Feet. She's the only listed center on this team, one of two listed forwards. Comes in at 6'3". We talked to head coach Sherry Levin. She said she can dunk. She actually has the green light to dunk should she get on the breakaway. So we will see some dynamic action from her, but there also is some height on this Israeli side. We don't have official heights for any of these players. However, just looking at the court right now, number 5, Tamar Cohen from Ironi Netanya, very tall. Looks like she matches up with at least Jacqueline Feet on the court height-wise, so it's going to be very interesting to see how that size battle plays out throughout the rest of the evening. Just here on the court right now, the players embracing each other, and then we'll be ready for first tip. So just a quick insight on the competition for this year. It's a pretty small tournament in the open women's basketball game. There is only 3 teams competing, that being Israel, the United States, and Australia. So how the organizers decided to do it is going to be a double round robin. Every team's going to play each other twice. Top 2 records advance to the gold medal game, which is actually going to be held a week from today. So a week of very exciting action between these 3 squads, and we'll see who makes it to the gold medal game next Sunday. We do have our starting lineup, so we'll get you those really quickly. First for the Israelis, it's going to be Yael Ma'ayan, number 3, the guard from Wingate Academy. Number 9, the guard from Elizor Halon, Mor Shabtai. She's been very impressive, along with her teammate from that squad, number 13, Rotem Kahalon, and then Yali Levy and Noga Haran are going to be the other 2 starters for the Israelis. On the other side of things for the Americans, it will be Amit Lustgarden, one of the guards for this team, alongside number 0, Tess Sussman, number 21, Madeline Plank, number 32, Jamie Behar, and we actually don't have a number 5 on our roster, but that is going to be our player to watch, Abby Myers. She switches from the 13 jersey to the 5 jersey, and we're underway here from Netanya. U.S. wins the opening tip, and we even see some physicality on that first play. It's going to be a very physical game here tonight, most likely, Elana. The FIBA rules allow for a little more physical play than what we normally see in the NCAA. So that is something to watch for tonight as Mayan gets her first touch of the night. We see Myers with some aggressive defense early on here for the Americans. Ball gets in the corner, and that's going to be a turnover. So turnover from both sides here early on.
They seem to be keeping Maccabi USA and Israel on the outside. A lot of aggression, and it's not really what Israel's pretty used to, but they look like they're keeping up so far.
Looks like Amit Lustgarten is going to be running the point here tonight for the Americans. An interesting story. Actually, Israeli-born, came to the U.S. around the age of 12. Now she's back in Israel to compete as we see Myers. Nice dish to Behar, who can't finish, and we're still locked in at 0 apiece early on in this one. Golik gets it to the outside, and we'll see Cajalon get her first touches of the night here. We see a man-to-man defense from the Americans. 3 launched off the mark there from Levy, but fighting for the offensive rebound is the Israeli Mor Shatai. And we mentioned she plays on that Elizor Halon team. She has a lot of experience, even played in the Euro Cup for a couple of games last September. So she has a lot of high-level Israeli basketball experience, and she'll try to translate that here today. Interesting, we see America here with a couple of different players bringing it up the court. We saw Lustgarten do it, and now we see Myers do it. In the corner, they're going to get it driving in, pass it out to Behar for 3, off the mark, and we'll stay locked in at 0.
Couple shots for Team USA, but still up, breakaway.
Myers with the basketball goes up for 2, and she'll get fouled, and we very well could see some points on the board very soon. Myers, a super accurate shooter. And one of the interesting things about Myers is she's just such a versatile player. Watching some of her highlights yesterday, she can score with layups, she can score that mid-range jumper, she can score from the free throw line, and she's a three-point shooter. So just accurate from all around the court. And we'll see if she can get the first point here, and just misses the mark. Definitely some rough shooting out of the gate for both of these squads. Second shot from Myers gets in there, and the Americans will take a 1-0 lead here early on in this contest, and we'll see how Israel can respond on the opposite end. Cajalon, another one of those players on the Elizor Halon team, passes it off, driving left-hand side. Levy, she passes it out. Some nice passing early on from the Israelis. 3 off the mark there, and 2 other than Myers will get the rebounds. Myers trying to work her way into the paint, gives it out. 3 ball on the way from Plank. She drains it.
Maddie Plank wide open on the outside and sinks it.
And that pass comes from Abby Myers. We talked about the connection they had at Princeton, and we see that early on the opposite end. A foul there as Mor Shatai heads to the ground after a foul there from the Americans. And now Israel with a good chance to get on the scoreboard here early on. Couple minutes into this contest, and we have yet to see Israel score. We'll see if they can do it here, and they will. A perfect free throw shot. And we see at the line here, Shatai, one of the very short players, and just once again we can go back to how much of a height advantage this American team has. There's a couple taller players on the Israeli, but that's definitely going to be something to watch throughout this evening.
Yeah, definitely a number. And Rotem Cajalon seems to be keeping up with our center.
Lustgarten trying to drive in, gives up a turnover here. On the other side, it's going to be Levy. Passes it out to Cajalon. We just talked about her. She pulls for 2, misses it. A little bit of contact there, but the refs say it is okay. So it'll be America on the attack once again. Another 3 ball from Plank. This one off the mark, and this will be a race. 3-on-1. Americans have the advantage, and a nice poke away there from Plank, limiting Israel from that opportunity. On the other side of things, Behar misses a layup, and we're still seeing some sloppy play here early on. This is the first game of the tournament for both of these teams, and it's showing. We talked with Coach Sherry Levin a couple of days ago, and she was saying this trip, obviously a lot of fun for these players, but it makes them very tired. There's a lot of movement, and we're seeing that early on in this one.
And a lot of these girls are definitely used to a long preseason before they play together, but these girls have only had 8 practices so far, so it's definitely going to take some getting used to for them to really build the same chemistry that they're used to.
Myers 3 off the mark here, still 4-1, 6:40 to go in the first quarter of action. Here in FIBA play, it's going to be 4 10-minute quarters, 5-minute overtime should we get there, as the pass down low to Mayan is good pass, and she gets fouled. So now we're going to see another free throw duo from the Israelis. We saw some free throws earlier on, and that's how Israel got their first points, as we're also going to see the first sub come into the game. That's going to be Adara Groman coming in for Amit Lusgard. And then kind of an interesting story with Adara. She has played with head coach Sherry Levin a lot. They played together at the they played together in high school, or they were coached. She was coached by Levin in high school. They played she was coached by them at the European Maccabi games, and now playing for Levin again here this afternoon. As first free throw off the mark. Something interesting we did see right there, Abby Myers coming out of the game very early. Sophie Gerber comes in, so we'll see if Myers is okay. Star player on the bench early on for the Americans, as second free throw good there from Mayan. Groman running the point right off the bench, driving to her left-hand side. Nice move to the basket, can't finish. Gets her own rebound, though, and the putback no good as well. But we see Groman ready to get right into the game. First player off the bench and making an impact early on. Another steal here from Maddie Plank. She's just been a machine on defense early on. Nice pass down low, can't get to go. Offensive rebounds here from Behar. And America doing a really good job with the rebounding early on here.
Jamie Behar, as you said about the rebounds, she has been doing great with getting the rebounds, but she still can't seem to make a basket just yet.
Nice pass there outside, driving in and getting fouled. It looks like there is going to be Rotem Kahalon. So this Israeli team is doing a lot better than the Americans at getting contact, as we see Abby Myers check back into the game for Behar. So just a quick sit on the bench for the Ivy League Player of the Year. Now we see an offensive rebound from Shabtai, shortest player on the court, but still gets up there for the rebounds. Some more transition offense here for the Americans. Myers goes up, and she has her first 2 of the game, and the lead up to 4 for America. And we are going to have a timeout here called by head coach Yoav Heller from the Israelis. So early on, it is a pretty tight matchup between America and Israel. We just saw Myers get her first points. We'll see if that can kind of wake her up. It was a very nice drive to the basket for her. And one thing that we see the Americans having advantage in early on is that transition offense. They're forcing those steals, and they're making their baskets on the other end. How important is that going to be throughout the rest of the game, Elana?
That's definitely going to be important because, as we said before, the height difference, it doesn't really look like it's tripping up Israel that much. It is a pretty tight match, so I think that's definitely going to be important in scoring these points, quick transition points, and they got to start making these baskets.
And it was interesting to see when we talked with these 2 head coaches. They said a lot of different things, but the one thing that stuck out to me that was very similar, they both want their team to run. They're impressed with the speed of their players, so they are both speedy. It's going to come down at the end of the day who's just a little bit faster, most likely. A close game early on, just 8 points scored through the first half of the first quarter. We'll see if that offensive production can pick up here with 5:17 to go in the first quarter.
Exactly. Both coaches seemed very, very confident in their team's ability, and at the end of the day, it's just who's going to put their best foot forward and who's going to come out on top.
Outside, running the point once again for the Israelis, gets it to the outside. Almost a double dribble there. Instead, it's going to be a turnover. America off to the races once again. Groman underneath the basket, gets it to go. We were just talking about the transition offense. That continues to be the main way America is scoring points, and we'll see if they can use that as some momentum throughout the rest of the quarter. Outside, there's going to be another turnover, and the 2 points Israel has scored is off of free throws. Other than that, it's been a lot of turnovers early on for Israel. How are they going to clean that up, Elana?
I think they really just got to focus on their offense and keep it up, and Groman's taking it down the court. Groman actually helped Sherry win 2 New England championships, so she looks like she's really dominating on the court right now, and they just got to work together to put some baskets in.
Myers draws the foul down low. It was interesting. We were talking about how FIBA rules allow for a little more physicality, but the refs seem to be blowing their whistle a fair amount here early on. One note for our viewers, there are no bonus in international play until we get to overtime, as Myers hits the fadeaway, and America up to double digits here, 10-2 the lead with 4:20 to go in the first. Cajalon gets it to Shabtai inside. We continue to see this ball movement from the Israelis. A missed shot there from Matityahu. And Myers with the rebound. Myers just seems to be all over the court here early on.
Yeah, Abby's really taking the lead on this court. Not passing too much, shooting threes by herself and really trying to take it to the net by herself.
That step back, no good. We'll see a whistle blown, but I believe it's going to be a foul against one of the American players here. So Israel will get the basketball back, and we are going to see a turnover here. A substitution here, and that's going to be Morjan Saada coming into the game for the Israelis. Saada plays with Heller, head coach Johan Heller, year-round at their club team. A couple of these players coached by Johan Heller year-round, so interesting to see how they're going to have that dynamic as this one thrown away. Plaint gets it. Nice bounce pass to Groman. Goes up for 2 and 1. Every time we see the Americans get the ball, it seems like Groman already streaking down the court, and this one pays off with an and 1. Possibility for a 3-point play here for the guard out of the University of New Hampshire.
Groman is really dominating in this court today.
Israel in desperate need of some points here. They have not scored in a few minutes. 13-2, the current lead for the Americans. It was 4-2 just a few minutes ago, but America has started to catch fire with their shooting. We'll see if Israel can do that as well. Driving to the basket, shot no good there from Saada. And America's going to try to push the pace here again. Groman going to the basket. Nice behind the back pass. Can't finish it. Is Behar there, and the Israelis will get it back. We see off the bench Saada with a big roll running the point. He passes it off here to Cajalon. Almost a travel there. I saw that one. The Americans did too, but the referees don't, and it's going to end up being a foul called against the Americans as Morjan Saada gets fouled driving to the basket on the right-hand side. Once again, we have only seen a basket scored early on via free throws for the Israelis, so they can keep that going here early on. Checking into the game for America is going to be Molly Weiss. And one thing we should mention, we are going to probably see every single player for both of these teams on the court here, as the first free throw is good because of just how small of the rosters they are. 10 players for America, 12 for Israel, and Elana, just some very small teams here at the Maccabiah.
Exactly, and this gives the teams a chance to really bond with each other. As I said before, they don't have too much time to get this chemistry, so smaller rosters make for that to happen.
We see Weiss get her first touch here on the far side. Some nice defense from Saada, but down low they find a cutting Behar who makes the basket. And America just continuing to grow their lead here. Almost a steal there from Behar, who's been very active early on. Abby Myers will end up getting the deflection and the steal. Pushes it down low to Groman, who else tries to finish down low and can't get it. And a key for Israel, even though America did not score there, it's just going to be stopping that inside cutting player for the Americans, kind of just shutting down the paint. If Israel ups their paint defense, this could be a close game. Alma Cohen gets it outside here to Rotem Cajalon. I don't think she's subbed out yet. She has played almost the entire first quarter, but some nice defense there from Abby Myers leads to another turnover.
And as we saw before, Cajalon took the shot. It was a great shot, but just the height difference on this team, Myers had to block it.
Corner 3 off the mark there from Molly Weiss. And We'll see what Israel can do on the bringing it back. We'll see Jacqueline Feet check into the game soon for America. 3 ball off the mark, but a nice offensive rebound here for the Israelis. Sada gets trapped. The cutting 2 there from Cajalon, no good. On the other side, Weiss with the extra pass. You know, a lot of these teams try for the extra pass, usually works. In that case, probably would have been better off making the shot, but the Americans will be able to reset their offense. We should mention a 24-second shot clock here in the Maccabiah as Myers pulls for 3, can't get it. A lot shorter than what these American players are used to playing with in the NCAA. So it's been interesting to see how they react to that. Another change, the 3-point lines are slightly further here in Europe and Asia than they are in America, as shot there good for Israel, and they're finally going to make a field goal, their first field goal of the day, 9.5 minutes into the first quarter. Thinking about the 3's plank, she pulls, misses it. 3-point shooting has not been excellent early on here from the Americans. I believe this one made 3, and this one's going to go out of bounds with 17 seconds left. A lot of in and out with these U.S. players as they try to get the best roster for certain plays. We'll see if Israel tries to hold for one final shot this quarter. It's going to be Schuster bringing it up the court and gives it to Cajalon, who's probably the best player on the court right now for the Israelis. She misses the 3. They're going to let it go out of bounds with 2.1 seconds on the clock. So America might have time for one final heave. Looks like they're going to give it to Maddie Plank, who made that one 3-pointer for America. We'll see if they say she gets it off. Won't matter either way. That is a missed shot, and that will bring us to the end of one quarter of play. A 15-6 lead for the Americans. Pretty low scoring. America showed that they are probably the favorite in this tournament, at least in this game, but Israel with a good job here early on defensively. And we're going to head to a quick break and be back in a second. Don't go anywhere. You're watching the Maccabiah. Here from Netanya, tonight's matchup between Israel and the United States is brought to you by Campus Apartments. The student experience is with us. Also brought to you by Evolution Health Group. Evolution Health Group, we have a valve. And a good first quarter here from Netanya, a 15-6 lead for USA over Israel. We saw some defense there in the first quarter. Elana, what are you looking to see here in the second quarter from both these teams?
Definitely some more action. I actually thought it was I didn't think the score was going to be as close as it is right now, but lots of confidence on both teams. I'm excited to see the ability, more chemistry from a bunch of these players, and yeah, I'm excited to see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, Israel's been doing a really good job stopping the U.S. offensively. The only thing they need to improve on now is just that shooting. Only one made field goal in the first quarter. 3 shot on its way. No good there from Nikolic, who gets back into the game for Israel. And we'll see Groman bring the ball up the court. She just plays with such an energy as three-point shot off the mark here from Sussman. Tess Sussman into the game out of Harvard. We saw Sam Ohstry talk about her and that Ivy League connection before the game, but just so many Ivy Leaguers on this roster for the U.S.
It's great seeing how Israel's keeping up with these Ivy Leaguers.
Lustgarten back into the game for the U.S. Passes it out to Sussman. We didn't see Sussman play much there in the first quarter, but looks like she's playing a big role here as she gets the ball back into the paint. Double teams here by Israel. Looks like Israel might be going with a zone as the shot on its way, and that's good from Tess Sussman. And we talked about her making an immediate impact, and there she goes.
Not too much play on the baseline as I'm seeing both teams pretty much keeping it wide, taking wide shots, but they just don't seem to be sinking them.
18-6, 12-point lead for the U.S. Another steal here from Groman. Passes it ahead. Nice movement here to Plank. Goes up for two and gets it. So kind of an inverse from what we saw in the first quarter when it was always Groman receiving those passes. This time she throws one of them, and the transition offense working well for the Americans, and now a travel for Israel. And looks like we're going to see another sub here. This actually might be the final player we see come into the game for U.S. before everyone has been subbed in. That's going to be Nina Carlin, the Bryant walk-on player. And looks like she actually might have to wait a second. Oh, no, she's just going to be inbounding it. So we'll see Carlin inbound it. Her coach at Bryant was just saying she's a player that has so much upside. Very interesting story, actually, with Carlin. She was originally going to be on this team, injured herself at the tryout, missed her year of college ball, then made the 3-on-3 team for USA at the Maccabiah, and then finally she is going to be able to make it onto this 5v5 team after a roster spot opened up late in the process. So just a really good story of resilience there with Carlin. Schuster trying to control things over there with the points, and this American man-to-man defense has just been working really good early on. It seems like the matchups that Coach Sherry Levin, her assistant coach Monica Armstrong, just that entire coaching staff with America drew up have been very well thought out. They didn't know much about their opponent. Elana, we kind of, Sherry Levin really punched in on this during our phone call. There was not a lot of scouting to be able to be done, but it seems like they have a good idea of their opponent here today.
Yeah, Coach Levin said that was one of her favorite parts about the Maccabiah, is that there was no one to scout, so you kind of just had to wait till gameplay and see and get a feel for both teams when you're there.
Great drive to the basket there from Sussman, who has 4 points quickly off the bench here for the USA. Top the key driving is going to be Netanya. Passes it out. Schuster's really been a big part of this second quarter for the Israelis, and a give and go works as a nice finish there from Netanya. That's what the Israel fans want to see here early on.
Israel's really making it work when it comes to the height. As we know, Jacqueline Feet is in right now, but they're making it work around her.
3 off the mark there from Lustgarten, and we're going to see Abby Myers check back into the game. We haven't seen that much scoring early on here from Myers, but when she's on the court, you can just see she is an impact player on the defensive side of things, passing the ball, and the couple of shots she has made. She just really makes such an impact when she is on the court, and that's what we talked about with Sherry Levin. Beyond just her playmaking abilities, just such an awesome leader as well for this squad, as Myers gets it on the breakaway, goes up for 2, and an easy layup there to get the lead to 16 here for the USA early second quarter.
And Myers said she is such, Levin said that Myers is actually the captain on this team, so we can definitely see her leadership abilities on the court. Not even when she's just on the court, when she's on the bench too. She's supporting her teammates, really, really trying to bring the chemistry together to have a great game.
Alma Cohen gets fouled while driving on the left-hand side of things, so she will head to the free throw line to shoot a couple. Once again, we've only seen 1 or 2 made baskets from the Israelis. A lot of their points still coming from the free throw line, and they're obviously going to need to score some other field goals, but if they can continue to make these free throws and be accurate from the charity stripe. That's going to be very important for them here to stay in it with this American team. Israel's looking for a little bit of revenge in this game. They lost in the gold medal match to the Americans in 2017, as we see 2 made free throws there from Cohen, but you can definitely feel, Elana, in this one, some tension, some want for revenge from both of these teams.
I definitely can, and it looks like they're both out to get it. We don't know, as they said before, there was no scouting, so they're both getting a feel for both of the teams and seeing how it goes.
And that's the interesting thing with the Maccabiah. This team is entirely different other than the coaching staff. Actually, both of these squads. We saw the 2 head coaches coach in the last Maccabiah, but none of these players are the same as those 2017 squads. So a completely new look for the USA and for Israel as a turnover here. And now we're going to see an Israel fast break, but it's breaking up by Myers. So Israel trying to play a similar game as America is, but it's not working. Sussman thinks about the corner 3, instead tries to drive in, but it's going to get rejected there. And once again, we're seeing some transition offense from the Israelis. Turnaround 2, no good from Cohen. Fighting for it is Myers, and another turnover here. Going up for 2 and getting the easy layup is going to be Yael Fari. And I think we're going to have a timeout called here by the Americans, and that is the perfect time. Some sloppy plays that last minute or 2 from the Americans, Elana.
I agree, some sloppy plays, and I'm just watching Schuster. Great hustle from a lot of the girls, and they're not letting the height get to them. Really, really crashing the board, pushing to get those shots in.
As we're going to take a quick look here at the head coach for America, Sherry Levin. We've been bringing her up throughout the broadcast, but it's really easy to understate how impressive her resume is. A Jewish player who played at Holy Cross, decided to go to a school from a different religion, is in the Hall of Fame there. Her player room is dedicated after her. She also has over 300 wins as a coach, and actually, interesting fact, across all Maccabiah competitions, the original one here in Israel, the Pan Am Games, and the European Games, she's 19-1, so she's looking for the big win number 20 here on her on her USA resume here this afternoon in Netanya.
She really is an incredible coach, and she actually has coached a few of her players on this roster before. Adara Groman, she actually has coached, but she says even though she has coached her before, it's an entirely new experience for all the girls, and she gets to experience it together.
It'll be USA ball out of the timeout. We'll see how their game has adjusted a little bit after Sherry Levin called her first timeout of the afternoon. 2 timeouts allowed in the first half for both of these squads. As Lustgarten gets it top of the key, they're going to have a nice little triangle going here. Ends up getting it in the paint, but they'll pass it out to Carlin. More ball movement on this drive from America, but once again, it's going to end in a turnover. Haran gets it, top of the key, 3 on its way, no good there from Levy, and the Americans will get it back. Myers had the chance for a 3 there, but some unselfish ball from the USA. 3 off the mark, though, there from Amit Lustgarten. And the 3 ball has been a problem for both of these teams early on. It seemed with both the coaches, shooting was going to kind of be an advantage for both these teams, but right now the outside shooting has kind of been a problem for both these squads.
I completely agree, and as you said, the three-point line is actually different than what they're used to shooting on. And when we were speaking with Coach Levin, she actually said they all are really, really strong in their three-point shooting, but today we just aren't seeing that.
The one difference between these two teams, Israel, despite being a younger team, they play with these FIBA international rules all the time. USA playing in the NCAA, the rules are a little bit different, and Israel seems to be taking advantage of that as Lustgarten misses the pass to the outside, and another turnover here from the USA. Checking into the game is going to be Molly Weiss. She comes in for Lustgarten after a couple of airs there from the guard out of Salt Lake City, Utah. Top the key with it is going to be Cajalon, the 3 off the mark once again from Haran. We'll see what America can do in transition. Myers throws up the 3, can't get it, but an offensive rebound. Misses the shorter shot too. Myers a rare 0 for 2 on that one trip up the court. And Israel will bring things back up the court. 3:25 to go here in the first half of play. 3 on its way from Levy. So we've seen Israel do what they need to do in stopping the Americans offensively. And as I say that, a 2 from Behar. But overall this quarter, there has been less scoring from USA. The one problem right now for Israel, the shots just aren't falling. Levy passes it out. Now another turnover. Roman trying to go coast to coast, and she finishes. And we're going to see the second timeout of the half called here by Israel. So Groman early on just seems to really be getting whatever she wants. When she gets the ball, you just see some confidence, and as she's dribbling, she can just go wherever she wants on the court. So we see 2 quick timeouts in just a couple of minutes. First call by Sherry Levin for the for USA, and then from Yoav Heller from this Israel team. So both the coaches not loving the product they see on the court early on. And another interesting thing is this is going to be the first of a long couple of days for both these teams. For America, it's the first of 2 games in a row. For Israel, they have 3 games in 3 days. So if the players are a little tired now, it's going to be very tiring in 2 or 3 days. So it's going to be really interesting to see how these players are able to keep up their energy throughout the tournament.
And something that's great about that, actually, Coach Yoav said the same exact thing. 3 games in 3 days is a lot, but these girls are younger, and they are 17 and 18 years old. So staying healthy, they're still really young, and hopefully it won't be too bad for them.
It's very interesting, Elana, to see how there's some disadvantages with being on the younger side, but also some advantages of being the younger players, and that's just something that's really even coming out in this game with the young squad out of Israel. What the Israeli National Federation does is they bring everyone up a level. So the 16U players are playing at the 18U level. The 18U players are playing at the open level here at the Maccabiah. And that is why there is such a young team here for Israel, as 3 blocked. More shot time was trying for the shot there. Some transition, no good, as Sussman got her hands on it, but was immediately, looks like they might have called that a foul. Oh no, they're going to say it went off her hands. So limited contact there. Israel gets it back quickly, and they'll have time to reset some offense here around the key. Looks like we may have a zone defense developing for America. Shabtai pulls up another shot, can't get it. She's been taking the majority of the shots here early on for Israel. Myers on the other side of things goes up for 2, misses it, gets her own rebound, and makes the shots. U.S. stretching their lead to 20 points here as we reach the latter stages of the first half. Israel in desperate need of some points to start falling, and they'll get that quickly there with a nice drive to the basket from Rotem Kahalon.
And not much Israel can do when USA is driving to the basket, just putting their hands up and hoping for the best.
It was interesting. U.S. is really playing a 5-out offense today, Coach Levin said, because they don't have so many bigs, but they still are finding their way inside as Myers gets her own rebound once again and puts it up and scores. It's just so hard to defend against a player like that who has the ability to rebound, who has the ability to shoot, and has the ability to play inside like that. I know you're a Maryland student, very lucky to have her coming to your squad next year.
Oh, I can't wait, especially under Brenda Fries. It's going to be incredible.
Might have been the first 3-pointer we've seen all day long from Israel, but a response too quickly there from Sussman. Sussman's probably been the most impressive player on the court for America here in the second quarter of play. 42 seconds on the clock, so Israel's not going to be able to hold for a final shot, and they're not going to be able to get any points either. A little quick turnover there from Sussman down low. Nice dish to Behar, who has one of her first shots of the day. Go in for 2, and the lead now up to the largest it's been today, 21, with 24 seconds to go in the first half. Nice shot there from Noga Haran, and now both the teams heating up a little bit. Israel starting to make some shots at last. And now we'll see if that can carry on to the second half. Myers dishes it down low. 1 second on the shot clock. Behar with a buzzer beater layup. And the lead is going to go back up to 21 points as we close out the first half of action here from Netanya. Elana, what are some reflections there from that first half?
Right at the end, we saw a really nice connection from Behar and Sussman right at the end. Sussman really dominating the court, just seeming to be in the right place at the right time. So they all started to really work on their chemistry and work as a team towards the end. Both the intensity got higher at the end, and I think it's just going to move up from here.
A very impressive first half from USA. They had a little bit of trouble there a couple minutes into the second quarter, but they respond well, and because of that, they have tied for their biggest lead of the half here. And we're going to send it down here to our sideline reporter, Sam Ohstry, who has head coach Sherry Levin with him. Sam?
Here with head coach Sherry Levin. Coach, you guys got off to a little cold start in the beginning. How do you think you guys responded as the game went on?
I think we responded really well. We have not played yet. This is our first game. Some of these ladies haven't played since the end of the season. We've been together for 10 days, so it was expected. I kind of told them that was in the locker room, just kind of play with it. It's a game of 40 minutes. Who scores first doesn't really matter, and then we started getting in our rhythm. Defensively, we made some adjustments, and offensively, we just settled down, and we found our rhythm, and I thought we were really unselfish and making some really great passes.
When Abby Myers starts clicking like she was as the game went on, what does that do for your group?
It picks everybody up. She's a tremendous leader, and she'll find the open player, as will everybody. We're very unselfish. We have a goal in mind, and so therefore it's one extra pass, and we're doing that now offensively.
What do you want to see from your team in the second half?
Same kind of high energy. We play tomorrow as well, so everybody's going to be playing. We only have a 10-person roster, so therefore we want everybody playing, everybody getting minutes, and we want to continue to execute, knowing that we will get better every day in every game we play.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you. Okay.
And thank you, Sam. A nice couple of words there from Sherry Levin as she heads back into the locker room before we start off the second half of play. Earlier today, the U.S. men's 35-plus basketball team played in its opener here from Yoshiva Hall, and it ended up in a lopsided win. Maccabi Media's Charlie Goldberg has this report from the game.
In the world of Maccabi basketball, the men's 35-plus United States team took on Argentina. The United States came away with 98 points as they held Argentina to 56. And on the United States, we saw great contributions on offense by Avi Fogel with 22 points and Jordan Flegel with 27 points. And in this league, the United States continues to work really hard and collaborate together better as a team.
As like a group of people, we have a very good cohesion, right? So it translates like onto the basketball court. But through the course of the game, as we start playing, we get some of the jitters out. You absolutely see a lot more of people knowing what spots other people are going to be in and picking out different sections that we should get the ball to.
The United States rolls into their next matchup against Puerto Rico this Monday with some momentum on their side. I am Charlie Goldberg, Maccabi Media.
At the Shafayim Kibbutz, a bonding experience for Maccabi USA athletes.
But I've made so many friends, and I've had so many experiences within the first 3 days. It's absolutely mind-blowing.
Over 400 U.S. athletes across numerous sports spent the first week of their stay in the seaside kibbutz. Reflecting at a Shabbat service, there was a common thread.
And meeting a bunch of amazing people and making some amazing friendships.
In between practices and the Israel Connect touring and educational program, athletes are finding an environment suited to meet new friends.
The Shafayim Kibbutz offers many opportunities for Maccabi USA athletes to socialize and relax. In the arcade room, chilling by the sandy beach volleyball court, or taking a quick walk from the kibbutz to see the beautiful Mediterranean Sea.
But the biggest bonding factor in this model of an Olympic village?
The common thread of being Jewish, which I know for me is something new, and I don't think I've ever met this many Jewish people in one place.
For athletes, an understanding of what has brought them together.
We are here because our connection to Judaism and Israel.
After a week getting to know their fellow athletes in Shafayim, there's anticipation as the Maccabiah kicks off of the connections to come.
I'm so excited to see what's in store. So thank you so much.
In Shafayim, Israel, Griffin Epstein, Maccabi Media.
It was a tough day for the Open men's volleyball team as they were defeated in straight sets against Israel.
I think our chemistry's been pretty good. We've had that week of practices, and it helped us a lot. We were missing out a little bit, I think, on some of the energy, though, that we had talked about, and that definitely got the best of us.
The U.S. delegation held an early lead in the first set, but Israel found its footing midway through and never looked back.
From a tactical standpoint, it's a lot of the same things you see in college volleyball at a high level. But from an athleticism standpoint, you know, playing grown men versus some 18, 19-year-olds.
This has been a long time for me to be a coach. First time ever coaching here. The Israelis have gotten bigger and nastier and better, so it's an exciting battle.
Being that this is their first real game as a team, the U.S. hopes to learn and grow as the games continue.
From a team, we need to work on our ball control, pass the ball a little bit better. But outside of that, we need to learn to have fun, cool down a little bit, and not get so antsy out there.
This is our first game ever against, professional players of, multiple years of experience playing together and of a very high level. So I'm very excited for where the games are going to go for us.
Although not the full result that the Maccabi U.S. men's open volleyball team wanted here in Jerusalem, they know that one thing's for sure, they're going to be looking forward to that gold medal rematch against Israel. Reporting from Jerusalem, Evan Kamiko, Maccabi Media.
Back here in Netanya, almost ready for the second half of action between Israel and the USA. USA holding on to a 40-19 lead as we enter the second half. Elana, a fun first half of action. What does the USA need to do to keep things going here in the second 20 minutes of play?
I think they just need to keep the intensity up. And during halftime, Sam actually spoke with Coach Levin. He said the girls are unselfish, and I think if they stay unselfish and really work together and keep the chemistry going, I think they can take the gold.
So we see Israel going with a tight man-to-man defense here. A lot of switching, actually, early on in this one. As they get it inside, the Sussman goes up and gets fouled. And we'll see Sussman heading to the line early on. It's interesting. We did not see Sussman have a lot of contributions in the first quarter, but she has a lot of contributions in the second, and now she has a chance to become the first scorer here in the second half. Sussman played at Harvard. Now she's using her 5th COVID year to transfer to UC Davis. She'll be at another high D1 program. And after averaging 8.3 points per game this last year, she's having a good start to her Maccabiah journey. We saw Israel at the end of that second quarter really start to make some shots for the first time today. They were very cold through the first 15 minutes or so. They started to make some shots, and we'll see if that carries on to the second half. We will see a turnover here. Abby Myers Elana just seems to always be where the ball is. She gets the give-and-go shot here, but she's just everywhere.
She seems to always know where the ball's going, where it's about to go, and where she needs to be.
And that is all you can ask for in a player.
And I think that's what makes her such a dynamic player. It's not just that she's making baskets. It's offensively and defensively. She just really is a team player, and that's what makes her so talented.
Nice turnaround shot there from Tamar Cohen. Her first points of the day. Tallest player on this Israeli squad, and she gets some points as Myers with the putback, and 4 points here very quickly for Israel. And if Israel is not able to stop Myers, this game could be over pretty soon. Already up to a 25-point lead for the Americans. This ball tipped out of bounds by Myers, so Israel will keep possession here. Both these teams starting off today with a 0-0 record. Only one team will be able to advance to 1-0, and every game really matters here, Elana, in this tournament, as they're only going to have 4 pool play games. We talked with Coach Heller. He seemed kind of disappointed in the fact that there's only 3 teams. Same thing going with Levin, but Levin was saying the organization's Maccabiah and the coaches are really working to try to expand the number of teams in this open women's competition in future competitions.
Yeah, and any game really is any team's win. They have to keep at it, choose their ability, and just do what they've been doing at practice, as Coach said, working hard, playing to the best of their ability.
Rebound here underneath the basket by Myers. 3 on its way from Sussman, who gets the 3 to go. The bench here for USA is loving it, and the lead now up to 26. Just keeps on growing here for the USA in their all red jerseys.
USA seem to find their dynamic ending in the second quarter and going into the third, and I don't think Israel's able to keep up at the moment.
Quite a play there, though, from Rotzen Kahalon. She was one of the bright spots for Israel in the first half, and a beautiful play there. But on the other side, a nice dish from Plank, who gets it to Behar, and that's been Behar's place all day long. Just no one can stop her with that play underneath the basket. U.S. crossing the half-century mark, 51-25. They lead with 6:45 to go. A long 3 on its way from Shabtai. Some perfect arch on that one, actually, as Plank underneath the basket gets it to go.
Plank really finding her spot on this court. In the beginning, the first quarter, she really was shooting 3s, but now she's staying on the inside and really making those layups.
Kahalon pushes it back. Another steal here from Sussman. 3 on 2. She takes it by herself, misses it. Plank there for the rebound and gets it to go.
Plank again in that exact same spot right under the board, really making those shots, being there for her team and getting those rebounds.
And we're going to see the first timeout called here in the second half. The first of 3 that Israel has. None of the timeouts roll on from the first half, so it's going to be 2 left for Israel and 3 left for U.S. And we are seeing some good fundamentals from this Israel team. They have some nice shots. They're passing the ball very well, but at this point it just seems like the experience is the advantage America has. They're playing a lot more sound of a game, and that's what's led them to this 30-point lead, Elana.
Exactly, and even though USA does have more experience collegiately just because they're older, they've played for longer, it is still great experience for the entire team of Israel. They're really getting these minutes in, all of them, especially with the team being so small, both teams getting great experience, and I think this is just great for all the girls in general.
And we were talking about how they have all the teams play up in the Maccabiah. They have the 18U play the Open, they have the 16U play in the 18U, and the real reason for that is not entirely to contend for medals. It's to give these players a chance to have some senior experience in international competition and really prepare them for other international competitions. Obviously, the Maccabiah game's a big deal, but there's other national teams that these players can play for. We talked with Heller, and he was saying some of these players were playing with the 18U national team. They had to get out of their service with that team for a couple of weeks so they could come play at the Maccabiah, and it's paying off for them. They get some experience, and hopefully for them they'll be able to bring home at least a win or 2 over the next couple of days. It's interesting. I mean, this could be the first of 3 matchups between the United States and Israel. We have not seen Australia's team yet. They could be a surprise team of this tournament, but Israel and U.S. were definitely the favorites. So they play again tomorrow, and then obviously a good chance they see each other in the gold medal game again next Sunday. So it's really going to come down to seeing how Israel can adjust and maybe contend in the future games. However, this one not quite over yet, as USA trying to build on their 30-point lead now underneath the basket. Feet can't get to go, and the Israelis will get things going here offensively. We have seen that quick pace continue to go for both these teams. Neither team's really slowed down. A lot of energy for both of these squads. Rebounds here from Plank. She pivots and decides to take it by herself. It's really fascinating, Elana, how many of these players have that point guard skill set, are able to dribble it up the court, are able to pass, and it's just such a good thing for a team to have.
And that was so interesting when we first looked at the roster. Only one of the players was not a guard. Jacqueline Feet, she actually is a forward and a center, so that was really interesting. Seeing such big guards, it really is an asset for the team, and as we can see, it's been working out for them.
As Plank drills the first free throw here. We have actually not seen a lot of free throws from this American squad. However, a pair here, and Feet goes 1 for 2 from the line. Nice offensive rebound, though, there from Jacqueline Feet, who gets the 2 to go. We were just talking about the only forward/center on this team. She plays underneath the basket, and she gets the 2 to go. Offensive input increasing for America. Almost a nice turnover there, but they will say there is some contact, and we are going to see we're going to see Mio Nikolic head to the free throw line to shoot a pair. So pace of play slowing down a little bit for both of these squads with all the free throws, and that's definitely helpful for these two teams. There's been a lot of running back and forth, giving them a chance to catch their breath. One of the interesting things I saw just reading through the rule book here for the Maccabiah, teams are only allowed to have 12 players, so Israel's at the maximum, U.S. is almost at the maximum. Pretty small teams. It allows for these players to have a lot of playing time, but they're also going to be low on energy heading into these next couple of games. That's why Levin said so many players are going to be getting a lot of playing time here. As Weiss gets it down low, the Plank goes up for 2, can't get to go, but Feet with another offensive rebound, and that one will go off of Feet, and Israel will get it back. But Feet hasn't been in the whole game, but when she is in, as the tallest player, she's been making herself known underneath the basket. Saada back into the game as well. Kind of interesting to see how Israel has laid out their lineup here tonight. Couple of their strong players like Saada not playing the full 40 minutes. They go in and out, and she's in right now, but they've needed her at some other moments when she has been on the bench. Saada actually kind of an interesting story. The only Muslim player on this team. This is obviously a Jewish event, the Maccabiah. However, if you are in Israel, you can play no matter what your religion is, and Saada, kind of a nice story there, making it onto this Israeli roster.
Really, really great support coming from the bench right now. Myers is on the bench again. Everyone's really hyping up their teammates, and it's keeping the momentum up, and it's been great.
See Nina Carlin check into the game momentarily here for the USA. Roman trying to find her way to the basket. A nice block there, though, from Alma Cohen. She was about 2 inches shorter than Roman, who was driving towards the basket, but was able to have some nice hops on that one and get the rejection. And it must have gone off of the American as well, because it ends up being Israel ball. And we're going to see a timeout called here for the USA. 3:28 to go. They lead 58-29. And Elana, USA came out of that halftime break all fired up. They made some early shots, and looks like this game getting a little bit out of control for the Israelis to handle. Very interesting to see what the message is from Levin to her team right now. She's coached with a lot of teams that get a lot of wins, only 14 losses with her high school she coaches at right now. She's only lost one game at the Maccabiah. She's not used to losing. She has a lot of wins, a lot of blowout wins, and she's just trying to keep her team energized here.
And something Coach preached was that she doesn't want to peak right now. She wants to peak on the 24th in the medal round. She doesn't want to peak now. She just wants her team to put their best foot forward and keep trying and just do their best on the court and give their all.
Yeah, that final game is going to be held actually not here in the Netanya Arena. It's going to be held at Goldberg Malha a week from today. We mentioned this in the opening, but after each of these teams play 4 games, Israel, the United States, and Australia, it's going to be the top 2. There's a bunch of tiebreakers because obviously it could end up being a tiebreaker for that second spot. However, that is how they're going to determine who gets the gold medal. But I guess technically everyone here in the Open Women's Basketball competition guaranteed at least a bronze medal with only 3 teams competing. Schuster passes it. 3 ball on its way. No good there from Cohen. Cohen's become a lot more active in this game last couple minutes. Had that block and looked like that gave her a little bit of energy to take that 3 there off the mark. But it's good to see her getting involved in the game here. Feet gives it to Plank. Plank fires the 3 over her defender. Can't get it to go. Plank had that opening 3, not as many shots made since then. However, she's still been a nice presence on the offensive side of things for the Americans as Fight uses that height there to get the rebound. Plank showing off some point guard skills here. They get it inside to Gerber. Gerber pulls up for 2, misses the shot, and grabbing the rebound is going to be Ma'aya.
Maccabi USA really getting back and forth on defense, and Fight is asserting her dominance on this court, getting back and forth, and she's doing great.
Weiss has been in and out of the game here so far. In right now for America. Passes it down low and gets it to Fight, and Fight drawing some fouls. We'll see what the 6'3 center can do at the line right here. Fight out of Franklin and Marshall College. Listen to this. In her first full college season with Franklin and Marshall College, 54 blocks. Tied for the lead in her conference. Just some very impressive stuff from Fight, and using that height to good advantage here on the basketball court.
Yeah, Fight also played for the U16 women's basketball team for the California Games in 2018 and won bronze in 2018 and gold in 2019 in those games.
Abba on the other side pulls up for the turnaround 2. Can't get it, but gets her own rebound, and she's going to pass it out to Cohen, who's going to reset the offense here for Israel. Nice to see the energy staying with this Israeli squad, trying to fight their way back into this. That was actually a nice attempt at the 3 from Mayan at the shot clock buzzer. However, can't get it to go on the other side of things. Gerber gets it out to Carlin. Some nice ball movement. White's for 3. Can't get it to go.
I think the 3-point line being different than what they're usually playing for definitely is affecting them right now, as we said.
Yeah, because a lot of these shooters were very strong on the, when we were doing our research, very strong 3-point shooters, but not as much here today. The 3 ball has not been one of the specialties for this USA team, as the turnover here. Gerber gets the steal, trying to push it ahead to Plank, but the pass just a little too long there.
No connection there, but both teams still going strong.
The USA coaching staff still trying to get their team to perfect things despite the win. A somewhat small coaching staff here for USA at the Maccabi games. We've been talking about Sherry Levin. She's assisted by Monica Armstrong, who's coaching as a special assistant to the head coach at Colorado. And then also on the bench is going to be the team manager, Marcia Zimmerman, daughter of Sherry Levin. Sherry Levin was saying how awesome it is to have that connection with her daughter. Her daughter's almost missed none of the Maccabiah games that Levin has coached with besides the European games in Budapest, and just a cool family connection there as the two connected from Saada to get them past the 30-point mark, 58-31 with 17 seconds left. Shot clock is off here, but doesn't look like USA is going to hold. Molly Weiss tried for the acrobatic finish there, but can't get it to go. Schuster pushing it in transition, and the layup is good by Mia Nikolic.
I think these quick transition points are definitely what Israel needs to focus on, and they've been doing a good job at when they have that chance shooting them hoops.
3-point off the mark from Plank to end the third quarter. 58-33 will be the lead for the USA as we head into the final quarter of action here in the opening game from Open Women's Basketball play at the 21st Maccabiah. Don't go anywhere. You're watching USA Women's Basketball. Back here in Netanya, we're going to send it down to our sideline reporter, Sam Ohstry, for a quick update. Probably some technical difficulties, but back here with game action here from Netanya. USA starting off with the ball here in the fourth quarter, 58-33 with 9:51 to go in the game. And Elana, USA just trying to close this one out as they did through the first three quarters.
It looks like they have a pretty good chance of doing that too, keeping the intensity up, and Myers is back in the game.
The scoop and the score there. Nice pass from Myers. Gets it to her former rival, Tess Sussman. I was reading some stuff about those two earlier on, and Sussman and Myers actually talked during the Ivy League tournament back in, must have been February. They knew they were going to play with this team. That connection has been there as both teammates and rivals now for a little while, as U.S. is going to find their way to the free throw line. It's going to be Groman coming in to shoot a couple. She's been very active here today, playing down low and also passing the ball. She's just been a great all-around player for the Americans. USA will be back in action tomorrow against Israel. That is going to be a 5 p.m. matchup. Same time, same place here, as U.S. will most likely look to get to 2-0 should they be able to close this one out with a win. Schuster almost picked up her dribble there, finds a cutting Cohen who drains the long two. We've definitely seen Israel pick up their shooting here in the second half, and that could lead to a closer matchup during tomorrow's game. Garden pushes it out to Behar. Behar gets it to Groman. Groman finding that open space once again, cuts to the basket and gets it to go.
Groman really finding those open spaces and getting those layups up.
She has been so impressive here all day long, as they're going to hand it off to Schuster. Schuster's been playing a lot outside of the key. Israel kind of also playing a 5 outs today, as USA is, as Saada misses the 3-point attempt, trying to push it up the court. Deflection there, and the Israelis will get it back quickly. Looks like a couple of subs coming to the game soon for Israel. They find Cohen down low, and Cohen, despite her size, she's playing really wherever she wants. She's dictating the pace of play on the offensive side of things for Israel right now.
I really don't think the size is affecting them much at all. It is when it comes to the score, but they seem to be keeping up and really showing great aggression towards USA.
That's been very impressive to see as Myers scoops it out. Groman for three, just off the mark there, and getting the rebound is going to be Mayayan. Schuster almost picks up her dribble here. A very fast-paced Israeli team. Looks like they're playing with the same energy they did in the first quarter. As we're going to see 3 Israelis check into the game here. They're just trying to get as many players, as much playing time as possible. One interesting thing I have noticed with this Israeli bench, there's no assistant coach. They have a team medical, I don't know if it's a doctor or just a staff member, Tom Zucker, but Yoav Heller has had to do this all by himself. Very impressive for him to kind of get this whole team together on his own hands. He talked about how whenever the national team calls, he just asks when and where. He has a lot of pride about coaching with Israel, and he's done a good job here with such a young team in his first game of this 21st Maccabiah.
He really does, and he said that every time his girls put on the Israeli shirt, and anyone puts on an Israeli jersey in general, you just see it's excitement. You know, it's their country. They love their country, and when the national team calls, they gotta do it.
U.S. keeping up their defense here. We're going to see another steal here from Amit Lustgarten, trying to go coast to coast, and she finishes. USA these past couple of days during their practice, they had their first full 2-hour practice on Sunday. On Friday. Yesterday was more of a rest day, but these last few practices, they've really just been focusing on perfecting everything, getting the basics down, and that's shown here today. Making their layups, making their crisp passes, simple stuff in the grand scheme of things, but that's what makes winning basketball, and that's what the U.S. is going to hope leads them to a gold medal here in Israel. Corner 3 from Amit Lustgarten. Oh, that one went in and out. Almost a 3 there from number 1, but she can't get it to go. 30-point lead for the Americans with 6 minutes to go in regulation. Plank tried for a fancy pass there. A lot of passing underneath the basket. Ends up going beyond the 3-point line, and now we'll go for a turnover. They push it towards Cohen, and that's just such a tough assignment for Cohen, having to be guarded by Abby Myers. Honestly, if I was a player and I was being guarded by the top player on the U.S. team, I'd probably be honored. Definitely a tough assignment, but cool opportunity there by Cohen.
I'd definitely be honored too, and at the same time, all these girls are still getting such great experience from it. So all in all, it's really just important.
Nice 3-ball there from Yali Levy, one of her first shots of the day goes in. Groman passes it to Sussman. Sussman out to Myers. Myers can't drain the 2. And Israel still trying to push the pace, keep this at least a little bit closer. I mean, kudos to Israel. There's been a lot of blowout games here at the Maccabiah. We saw a couple days ago 2 blowout games in the U18 basketball. It's still going to end up being probably a 20, 30-point win, but this could have been a lot worse. Israel's done a good job of containing this offense and the defense of the USA in stretches, and it's definitely a cool thing to see from this young squad.
They really have been. They've been managing and adjusting to the best of their ability and really keeping up with the physicality of the other team.
And even in this fourth quarter, their offense still making some shots. A nice turnaround 2 there from Cajalon. Weiss with some nice handles, driving to the basket, can't get to go, but gets her own rebound, trying to punch it out, but she can't. Off to the races as Schuster goes up for 2, gets rejected by the rim. She's on the ground, hopefully she's okay. There was a foul called there, so it's going to end up being 2 free throws there for the guard.
Both teams finally getting a chance to catch their breath. It's a really, really high-intensity game over here.
First free throw gets in there to get Israel to 41 points on the night. This could end up going as just a 20-point game. It could definitely be a success for this Israel team. It'll be very interesting to see how these 2 teams fend against Australia. As you mentioned, there's no scouting really for these games. Australia could show up with a really good team, which would kind of change the course of these games. A nice shot there from Plank. She gets back on the scoreboard. 4:10 to go in NCAA play, you'd probably see teams burning a lot more clock here, but with just a 24-second shot clock, it really keeps the game going. It's kind of nice, helps with the flow of play here in international basketball, as Schuster is going to head to the bench with a few Israeli fans clapping for her. A nice outing for her this evening. I have a wild pass there from Plank, but a nice job by Groman to pick it up. Groman driving on the right-hand side, passes it out to Myers. Myers can't get it, but Plank can instead.
Play's looking a little sloppy at the moment. 3 sloppy passes, but hopefully they can get it together.
3:50 left. I mean, these players have played almost an entire game, probably tired. And if you're on the coaching staff with America, you probably don't want your players to be putting in too much effort. Basically have clinched a win, and obviously with a game 24 hours, less than 24 hours away, you want to keep those legs as fresh as possible for tomorrow's matchup.
Exactly. I think it's up to containing right now and just keeping the score where it is.
Myers with the fadeaway jumper as the shot clock expired. She makes a lot of basic plays that are obviously very important, but when you have shots like that, that's what really shows how she is such an X-factor player.
She really does. She has all the basics and the fundamentals down, and everything just seems to come so naturally for that player.
Cohen driving left-hand side, punches it out. The 3 on its way, pocket it from Noga Haran. A nice 3 there from the guard. And Israel hitting some shots here late in this contest. U.S. really seems unaffected by anything that happens on the other side for Israel. They always come back with the same expressions on their face, ready to score on their drive. It's an impressive attitude that all these players have. 2 subs coming into the game soon for America. The pass too long, and now we'll see checking into the game Gerber and Carlin here. Just over 2.5 minutes to go in this one. A 25-point lead for the Americans. For a second there, looked like it might go up to 30 or 40, but still going to be a pretty big margin of victory for the Americans to open up the 21st Maccabiah.
It's great that Carlin's getting some more minutes, and I know Alex mentioned her amazing story before of having surgery and really staying with it, and she was good physically and healthy and worked hard to getting back to play on this team.
I mean, just going back to that, it's such an impressive story. She was so determined to play in the Maccabiah. She was gonna play for the 3x3 team, and now she ends up getting to play with the 5-on-5 team, which is just so cool for her. Even when she wasn't in the starting lineup, gained some minutes here, playing on that national team uniform. Such a cool experience for her.
It really is.
As Myers unable to complete the 3-point play, there's going to be a foul on the ground, or maybe they said that went out of bounds. Either way, it's going to be possession for Israel, and it looks like Abby Myers is going to be fouled out there for a second. 2:10 now to go. Quarter number 4 of action. Cajaron with it there is going to pass it to the outside. Israel's been really open to shooting this 3 ball, and Cajaron gets it there. If they had shot those a little bit earlier, this would have been a closer game, but that's something to watch out for in tomorrow's contest. Driving to the basket, getting some contact is going to be Groman. It's very interesting. At the start of the game, we saw U.S. shooting a lot of threes. We saw Israel shooting a lot of free throws. And now as we reach the final 2 minutes of the game, seems like the roles have kind of reversed here in Netanya.
It has. I don't think Israel's driving to the basket as much anymore, so I think that's definitely why they're not getting as much fouls. And USA, for some reason, is really pumped up right now, driving to the basket, and I think that's why they're definitely getting some foul shots in.
And that's kind of what you'd expect to see in a game like this. U.S. has the height advantage. They try to exploit it with drives to the basket, and then with the smaller sizes but some good shooters, you'd expect Israel to be using that outside shooting a lot more. Weiss with some nice handles here, loses the basketball, but fighting for it on the ground is going to be Jacqueline Fight, and ends up being a jump ball. I think that might be the first in-game jump ball we have seen all day today. has not been a lot of players getting fighting for the ball on the ground, but finally happens with 90 seconds to go in the contest. Cajalon's going to inbound it. There was a couple of players who I starred on my roster here. One of them was Cajalon. She's just been so impressive today. Shabtai has also been impressive. And then Alma Cohen, she kind of had a breakout game. I did not see much about her online while prepping for this game, but she's had a great night here today. And you think these players are still young. There's a possibility they grow a little bit. A lot of these players could be competing very well in the 22nd Maccabiah in 3 years. There's a chance based on how young they are.
I definitely think there's a good shot in that happening because Maccabi USA has a good 5-6 years on a lot of these girls, and with this experience, they're really keeping up. The score isn't too bad. A 20-point game really isn't that crazy, and with the way that they're keeping up now, I can only imagine how much better they're going to be in just a few years.
They're also all playing in the top 17-18 league. Most of them are playing in the top 17-18 league. As they advance, they'll be playing in some of the more senior leagues in Israel, which is going to be a lot of good experience for this Israeli team. As Groman just trying to eat up some time on the clock here, under 30 seconds to go. She drives to the basket, still a shot clock on as it reaches 10 seconds. Actually a turnover here, and trying to go up the court. They're going to pass it to Schuster, and a monster block there from Jacqueline Fight. We talked about how she had 54 blocks in one season at the NCAA level, and you see a big block there. Schuster tries to get up the basket, and that should just about do it as the clock is going to click down to 0 here. Groman might try for one more shot. She's not. She actually gets fouled with 1.2 seconds left. So we'll delay the end of this game a little bit, but it looks like it is going to end up being a 25-point victory for the USA unless they are able to pull up one more shot here. Fight puts one up. It's after the buzzer anyways, and that is going to be the end of an excellent first game for America. 72-47, the final score here, Elana.
What a game. We definitely saw both teams come together, their good experience, and we saw USA's very high game IQ and how they were able to manage and adjust. And same with Israel, they're very skilled. We could see their leadership skills and see them just work as a team in general. It was a great game on both sides, and we're excited to see what happens next.
Yeah, as we mentioned, these teams will be playing each other again tomorrow, about 23 hours from now. We won't have the call for that one, but it's going to be a good game nonetheless between the U.S. and Israel. And in just a second, we're going to have our player of the game. Sam Ohstry is waiting on the sideline right now, and he has a word with Abby Myers here, our player of the game.
Send it to him. Send it to him. Go away.
Myers, Abby, you guys got off to a little bit of a cold start. You were able to settle in. How'd you do?
Yeah, you know, I wasn't surprised that we started cold, right? We've been playing together, practicing for weeks on end without actually any game experience. So the nerves, the jitters were going to be there, but I think we settled in. We really relied on our defense to get us started on the offensive end. So kind of push through. We'll have them tomorrow, and we'll try and get better in the first couple of minutes.
Yeah, Coach stressed the importance of the physical nature of the game, how it took a little while to get used to that. Well, how do you think you guys did in terms of the physicality?
Yeah, you know, we were watching the men's game before, and it was just the most aggressive, foul-prone game I've ever seen in my life. And so it kind of mentally prepared us for not a lot of fouls to be called, right? So I just remember coming off the screen and getting, knocked in the head, and I was like, NCAA, they're going to call a foul every time. But, you got to deal with that. You got to play more aggressive, play to their speed, to their physicality, and I think we did that in the end.
21 points and the win in your Maccabiah debut. How does it feel?
Feels good. We got a lot of work to do, though. Not there yet.
Thanks. Congrats.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Sam Ohstry. He was courtside there with our Campus Apartments player of the game. Campus Apartments, the student experience is built here. And Elana, a 25-point win for the Americans, 72-47. Just some final thoughts here before we head to closing.
I think it was a great game. I think it just definitely took some getting used to on both ends. And as we said before, There's no scouting. You don't really know what you're coming into when you're coming into these games. And a bunch of these girls on both teams don't play on the same team collegiately or just on their club team. So for the first time actually playing in a game, I think both teams showed what they were made of. They played to the best of their ability, and I'm excited to see how they both adjust and play again tomorrow.
Tomorrow it will be, as we mentioned, a 5 p.m. tip-off here from Netanya between the U.S. and Israel. But that's just about going to do our coverage here tonight from Netanya. For Elana, Mutnick, Sam Ohstry, and our executive producer Simon Rosenwasser, and our entire crew here in Netanya, my name's Alex Burstein. Your final score, United States 72, Israel 47. Good night.
Yeah, and I'm gonna rip on you for it. Nah, I'm excited. You're so like, I don't know if you heard me. It's for your age. It's just beyond me. It's beyond me. You're so talented. It's not fucking fair, you know. It's me off. I'm out here struggling. 4 years older, and you're killing it. Good shit, man. Good shit. Brian, shut your fucking mouth, bro.
It's not fucking fair.
Bro, I'm gonna start texting Natalie if you don't be quiet, man.
She won't text you back.
Yeah, right. If she's texting Matt Fine back, she's gonna text me back, man.
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna tell Matt to find that.
Alright.
Somebody's salty. Oh, did that get his little outburst?
Just now.
Yeah. Let's go. Can you send that? Can you put that on the drive? You remember TeamSpeak? The app TeamSpeak? Simon? You don't remember TeamSpeak? Scott Van Pelt needs to have like on his soundboard Charlie saying it's not fucking fair. Like for bad beats. And not fucking fair.
It was a tough day for the Open men's volleyball team as they were defeated in straight sets against Israel.
I think our chemistry's been pretty good. We had that week of practice that helped us a lot. We were missing some of the energy that we had talked about.
Not even one of them?
The U.S. delegation held an early lead in the first set, but Israel found its footing midway through and never looked back.
You show us a game, and then we see it again.
Yes, hence replay. You're playing it again.
Different angle.
It's been a long time.
You said it yourself. It was called a
for me to be a coach.
replay.
First time ever coaching here. The Israelis have gotten bigger and nastier and better, so it's an exciting battle.
Being that this is their first real game as a team, the U.S. hopes to learn and grow as the games continue.
For your age, it did not
but outside of that, we learned how to fun, cool down a little bit, and not get so antsy out there.
This is our first game ever against professional players of many multiple years of experience playing together and at a very high level. So I'm very excited for where the games are going to go for us.
Not the full result that the Maccabiah U.S. men's open volleyball team wanted here in Jerusalem. They know that one thing's for sure, they're going to be looking forward to that gold medal rematch against Israel. Reporting from Jerusalem, Evan Kamiko, Maccabi Media.
In the world of Maccabi basketball, the men's 35-plus United States team took on Argentina. The United States came away with 98 points as they held Argentina to 56. And on the United States, we saw great contributions on offense by Avi Fogel with 22 points and Jordan Flegel with 27 points. And in this league, the United States continues to work really hard and collaborate together better as a team.
Like a group of people, we have a very good cohesion, right? So it translates like onto the basketball court. But through the course of the game, as we start playing,
El Fari, and I think we're going to have a timeout called here by the Americans, and
shots for Team USA, but still up, breakaway.
Myers with the basketball goes up for two, and she'll get fouled, and we very well could see some points on the get the rebounds. Myers trying to work her way into the paint, gives it out. 3 ball on the way from Plank. She drains it.
Shots for Team USA, but still up, breakaway.
Myers with the basketball goes up for two, and she'll get fouled, and we very well could see some points on the get the rebounds. Myers trying to work her way into the paint, gives it out. 3 ball on the way from Plank. She drains it.